jogiten Fulbe TV television gangonde ten golle Fulbe TV lata ke golle moddude jogiten Fulbe TV television gangonde ten sayamin Fulbe TV wari kam am tawal demen Fulbe TV wari to men Fulbe TV tikka mangam hanga hauta hore men Fulbe TV wari to men Fulbe TV kandari kode wenna berde men Fulbe TV wari to men golle Fulbe TV teddino yitina tawa men golle Fulbe TV lata ke golle moddude jogiten Fulbe TV television gangonde ten Fulbe TV.
Viewers, good afternoon to you or good evening to you wherever you are watching us here on Fulbe TV. I am your host Omar Jobarteh. Today we are very delightful to invite one of our guests, a prominent Gambian human rights fighter activist whom everyone almost know. His name is Madi Jobarteh, and then Madi Jobarteh is a prominent Gambian human rights defender and a pro-democracy activist born in 15 August 1971 in Boraba, Central River Region, the Gambia. He attended the University of Ghana and the University of Groningen. He is the CEO and Executive Director of the Edward Francis Small Center for Right and Justice in the Gambia, and also a former Deputy Executive Director of Tango, an association of non-government organizations in the Gambia. He is also a member of Foundation of Legal Aid Research and Empowerment, that's FLA, a former country director or country representative for Westminster Foundation for Democracy. Uncle Madi, welcome to Fulbe TV.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure to have you on this platform today. Of course, people have been known you as an insightful someone, an inspirational somebody who always stood for the right and liberty of everyone. Here now, without wasting more time, we would like to start the program here. It's going to be the current affairs of the country. Uncle Madi, why do we keep seeing every recent kill involves knife?
Maybe that is what is available. Yes, guns are not widespread, in the Gambia. So knives are everywhere, easily affordable, easily available. So probably that is it. But I think the issue for me is about the killings, that are taking place. Yes, and it's concerning, the rate of killings that are taking place. So I think there needs a lot more study about this, by law enforcement, by policymakers, but also by citizens, to understand, that a phenomenon, a certain trend is building in this country. Indeed, murder is not a new thing in this country, but then the rate at which we are seeing and the manner, needs serious consideration. The perpetrators as well, to look at, all issues. Crime in general doesn't happen in a vacuum. There's always a reason, there are always the circumstances. So there's the society at this point, yes, I can see the anger and the fear and the worry, but beyond that, there is need for the society to sit back and take a very critical, holistic look at this matter, to see how do we address this issue.
Like, but compared to last year, the killing rate, I think I don't know whether it's decreasing or is increasing, because last time we went to the OIC, a press conference with the IGP and hosted by the Minister of Information. The IGP said that the killing rate is decreasing compared to Last year, it has decreased up to 7.9%. So, what do you have to say about that?
I'm not. I don't have evidence, you know, a record of the killing. So I don't know exactly the figures. And the figures they said it's the police, so they deal with this issue. If they say it has reduced by 7% or 7 point something%, that percentage is still very low. So for me, it still means killings are very high in this country. By my own observation, without any records, or but based on what I just see in the news and so on, I can only feel that murders are at least not reducing. In my observation, it's increasing. But then I may be wrong. I don't have the figures, but the figures the police have given, as I said, also indicates that then we need to do a lot more, because that's a very minimal, very low percentage. So which means murders are still a very high prevalence in this country.
Okay. During the press conference that day, in fact, there is a question raised that I think it's high time we reverse the death penalty, which Ismaila Ceesay say it is still in there.
So a lot of the time people speak on issues that they haven't taken their time to study, to understand. Our constitution was made in 1997. Section 19 of the constitution spoke about the death penalty. Section 18.
Section 18, okay.
And it states that after 10 years, the National Assembly will look at the desirability of the death penalty, whether to leave it in the constitution or to remove it. Now, that exercise has never been done. In the course of these 30 years since the 1997 constitution has been here, a number of people have been sentenced to death because the death penalty is in the constitution. So if we get to this point, with these killings, one can see the anger, and people are claiming the death penalty should be brought back. No, it is there. But number two, is the death penalty a deterrent? And I agree with Dr. Ismaila Ceesay that the death penalty is not a deterrent, to say if you kill, you should be killed. Multiple studies have been done about that around the world. Citizens have said we should bring back death penalty. If you kill, you should be killed. Yeah. I'm saying I agree with Dr. Ceesay that the death penalty is not a deterrent. Right. Yes, yeah. So it doesn't mean if you have a death penalty in a country, the number of killings will reduce. Because people have to understand these killings, the circumstances in the way they happen. It is not as if in many cases people decide to go and kill. Yes, and apart from that, there are other factors. We've seen in many countries where people are sentenced to death when it's politically motivated, and that happened even in the Gambia. All right, or it was a miscarriage of justice. And people have been killed by the state through death penalty, and it was found that they did not commit the crime, or justice did not go through right channel, and so on. So all of those makes this death penalty a critical issue, because when you kill somebody wrongly, you cannot bring the person back. But again, as I said, there are many countries that have death penalty, and it has not reduced crime, particularly murder. So I don't agree that we need a death penalty. Yes, I think what we need to look into, one is to look at the very governance of this country. Crime does not happen in a vacuum. Crime is perpetrated by citizens in our communities, in our homes, in this society. All right, what factors would drive people to commit crime? That is a whole issue government needs to look at, experts need to look at. All right, we may find that there may be issues related to economic rights, social rights, basic needs and services. all right, the creation of opportunities, and so on and so forth, so that people would be prevented, or at least would not have the the means, or compelled to engage in certain activities, crime, so to speak.
Yeah.
So these are all things we need to study, but certainly death penalty is not a solution. All right, and I think it should be taken out of our constitution altogether.
Yeah. Now, as citizens, what do you think? How can citizens participate into nation building? Peace building.
Citizens have to know, what it means to be a citizen of a country, and that means citizens need to go and read the constitution so that they know what citizenship requires. Citizenship is about rights and duties. And when we perform those rights and duties, we protect human rights, we ensure good governance, we prevent corruption, we ensure there's accountability, we ensure there's peace and stability, we ensure there's unity and cohesion in society, we ensure that opportunities are available, and so on and so forth. Citizens build the country. Now, our problem in the Gambia is precisely because until now, majority of our citizens don't know what is citizenship. So they don't know what are their rights and their duties, and so how they should participate in ensuring that Gambia is run properly. A lot of us don't participate in that way, and this is why we are in this problem. So it's not just peace building, but citizens should participate, have a role across the building, the strengthening, the unity, the peace and stability, and the development of the society. Yes.
So, as you said, a lot of them are not aware of their right. What do you think should be done for such people?
Well, first there has to be civic education.
Civic education.
So whether it's government or civil society or political parties, the media, we should do civic education. So people know their rights and duties. People know the laws and institutions. People know the policies. People know the obligations of the state, the powers of the state, and how these things are organized. What institutions, structures, mechanisms exist, to protect rights, to make sure there is transparency, accountability, and so on and so forth. So there should be that civic education. But at the same time, every citizen at a personal level have a responsibility to educate oneself. If you are a citizen in a country, you have a duty to know what are your rights, what are your entitlements in that country. Yes. Like if you live in any society, you should know what is good or what is not good, what is destroying the society, and how do you prevent that, and so on. So citizens also cannot live in this country like how sheep or donkeys live in the Gambia, because donkeys and sheep don't care, because that's not in their nature. In our nature, it is for us to care about our environment, our political environment, our social environment, our natural environment, and so on and so forth, and so that we make sure we have a proper environment. So that is a responsibility that citizens have. Whether government educates you or not, you have a responsibility to do that. Okay. So that is the only way we are going to build a society that we can call home.
Thank you so much, Uncle Madi Jobarteh. Now let's talk about the president's pardoning of 105 prisoners or inmates. The president pardoned 105 inmates as a form of sympathy in connection to Yawm al-Ashura. I think this is a very this is very good from the president. What is your take about that?
Well, the constitution gives the president that power to give amnesty to prisoners. But the constitution has set a procedure. That in the first place there should be what they call a prerogative of mercy committee, all right, in which the Attorney General is a member and 3 other members who should be nominated by the president and taken to the National Assembly to be approved or not. Now, has that been done? There is no evidence that that has been done. So that if that is not done, it means the president pardoning 105 prisoners is unconstitutional. All right. As an organization, that is Edward Francis Moore Center for Rights and Justice, we've made this point. And so, secondly, it is also to make it transparent. All right. Now, the Minister of Information said they have gazetted it. But a gazette is not a transparency tool. A gazette is a legal requirement to indicate that a decision was taken lawfully and, it is now in force or it exists. The next thing is for government to inform citizens. And there are so many channels, public channels that they use, which they should use, to let citizens know these 105 people, who are they, what sentences were they serving, what crimes did they commit, where are they in prison, how many years have they served already, so that, how many years have they served and how many years is left. And any other information, bearing in mind that all efforts also will be made to respect their right to privacy. Okay. So there is a whole balance to protect their right to privacy, but also to fulfill the citizens' right to know. Now, that has not happened. So I reject this pardon. I think it is done wrongly, and I think they should do it right, correctly.
Let's talk about Keba Madi Bojang.
Keba Madi, in the first place, I don't think was arrested. It was his friend, the German guy, Reni, I think, who was arrested. Keba Madi sort of intervened in the arrest, and he was manhandled by immigration officers. The whole matter is such that this German guy...
Yeah, because the daily, the Observer 24 newspaper, I saw they said Mamadou Sabali defends immigration against the arrest of Keba Madi. So, why they said arrest then?
That is their opinion. I mean, Sabali's opinion doesn't matter to me. What Observer 24 reports, that's their reporting. I'm just saying, and they are not the only source. So, Keba Madi himself said he wasn't arrested. And there are independent sources that are verified that he wasn't arrested. He was physically manhandled, which is also in the public domain. So he wasn't arrested. Yes. My issue with the whole thing is the fact that the person in the center of things, the German person, was someone who has been involved with this government at the highest level, and in a way that was very inappropriate. Okay, and the police had run an investigation on him. There was a legal opinion from the Ministry of Justice that he should be charged. He was never charged, and so what happened until either they fell apart or how he became friends with Keba Madi, I don't know. But then to arrest him and asking about vehicles or motorbikes that he bought for the NDP, I find that to be inappropriate, because that is not the function of the police or the immigration. We've seen other political parties, the NPP, UDP, and UMC, they all have bought vehicles and motorbikes, and nobody was ever questioned who bought those vehicles or so. So, you cannot now go and target a particular political party and not as the party leader, but then as someone else, about those things. So I think the whole saga for me is inappropriate, is unlawful, all right, and it's selective justice. So that's my position on it. Yeah.
In fact, was he deported? Because I saw on media that he was about to be deported, but I don't know whether he was deported.
Well, what is there that attempts were made to deport him, but they took the matter to court, and the court stopped the deportation.
So he is now a free man, or?
No, not necessarily not free or not free. The point is he was to be deported. So the court stood. So I don't know what is the situation right now, but I mean, I'm just saying the court says stop the deportation. So free or not free is a whole different issue.
Okay. On the 3rd of June 2026, the Minister of Information hosted NAWEC delegates at the OIC. NAWEC promised the return of electricity and water to normal service by 14 June, but this was later pushed to the end of month. What image does this leave in the face of the public?
What exactly?
Like electricity and water was, I think still now some areas are lacking electricity normal 24 hours. And we were at the OIC on the 3rd of June, and this NAWEC delegates hosted by the Minister of Information. They promised us that, or they promised the public that by 14th June 2026, everything is going to be normal. So later on, these people, they come and publish on their Facebook page that NAWEC, that due to some circumstances, it is going up to end of month. We saw Gala also. They said on 19 they will protest, and they will give a 10 days ultimatum. So now, still now, we have people, of course, complain about this electricity in my area. Some people are even complaining. So, what do you think this will leave in the image of the public? Like NAWEC pushing this, and still now it is not 100% regular. I don't know whether you know it is not regular still now.
What I would say about electricity issue, it can never be solved because the situation in which we are is not a favorable situation. NAWEC is, beset with corruption, and incompetence, inefficiency, and poor leadership. And that is manifest in official reports, assessments about NAWEC. That is not my opinion. The Gambia has the potential to have energy sovereignty, all right? And we cannot have it simply because of that corruption. Right now, the bulk of our energy is coming from abroad, from Senegal and so on. And any country that wants to depend for the majority, most of your power from outside is in a precarious situation. You are in a very vulnerable situation. And so until we get to a point where the bulk of our power is generated from inside the Gambia, all right, we will remain at the mercy of blackouts. So NAWEC, what they said on the 3rd or on the 14th, 29, this has been a story in the Gambia for over the decades. The presidents, Barrow, just like President Jammeh, just like President Jawara, they had all said they have a solution for the energy sector, but then at the end of the day, the situation remains the same or even worse. And so NAWEC cannot solve anything. Yes, until they deal with the internal issues at NAWEC.
All right. Okay, no problem. So how do you see the Gala's 10 days ultimatum to NAWEC? Because
I think it's a great move. Ultimately, as I was talking about civic education, about citizenship, until citizens are prepared to actively participate in the governance of this country, you'll have a situation where corruption, inefficiency, abuse of power, and violations will continue perpetrated by the state. So that we saw how NAWEC got busy because Gala said 10 days. And some improvements have been registered because of the Gala protest and the threats of more protest. So that shows you public officials, public institutions will do the right thing or will attempt to do the right thing if they know they will face consequences. Our problem since independence is that public institutions, the state, they don't face any consequence. So because they don't face any consequence for their misconduct, for their lack of performance, for their poor service delivery, we have things the way they are in this country. This is why NAWEC has been a constant failure because they don't face any consequences. So what Gala did is what we need. We need more Gala. We need more people to come out when Gala calls, because that's the only way we are going to correct this country.
All right, that's good. So now, Uncle, thank you so much, Uncle Madi. I think we come to the end of this interview.
Thank you.
So now, then, what last word do you have, or a message you have for the government or the people of the country?
Well, for the government is to say, let them be law-abiding. All right. The government is a collective will, elected by the people to serve the people. That's what the Constitution says. And the Constitution requires that the government, whatever they do, they go according to the law. Our problem since independence is that the government, in most cases, has been lawless through corruption, through abuse of office, through disregard of the law, through violations and so on, through inefficiency and incompetence. That is lawlessness. So all that one has to tell the government is to be lawful, be law-abiding in whatever you do. That has been our problem. And to the citizens, the way they should take part, in the issues of the country, in the affairs of the country, by ensuring transparency, by making sure public institutions are held to account, and so on. In this regard, we have groups like civil society has to also be vigilant, ensuring that above all there is accountability, and that goes also for the media. The media also has to play that accountability role, because that is the role given to them by the Constitution as well. So and this goes for the rest of the various groups within the society, that we all have a duty, to ensure there is good governance in this country. And that cannot happen through silence, through inactivity, through indifference, and so on. Good governance requires citizens are active and they speak out and they stand up and resist any form of lawlessness from any quarter.
Yes,
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Uncle Madi.
Okay.
All right, viewers, this is all what we have for you here in Fulbe TV. My guest was Uncle Madi Jobarteh. Then my cameraman, Abdullah Mbalo, and I am Umar Hidbande. Thank you so much. Until we meet again. All right.
Fulbe TV la take golle moƴƴuɗe jogiten Fulbe TV télévision nga gonde ten. Fulbe TV la take golle moƴƴuɗe jogiten Fulbe TV télévision nga gonde ten. Sayuɗin Fulbe TV wari kam ɓamta wolde men.